November 2nd, 2000. I am here in the Lexington Cemetery, just downhill from the Henry Clay Memorial. I was here perhaps a year ago, and Henry Clay came to me and spoke through me. However, I did not have a recorder at the time, and so I'm here today again with a recorder to see if I can have Henry step forward again and speak, so that we might record some of what he has to say. And so I ask that Henry Clay please once again step forward and speak through me, to me, so that we might understand and have a record of what it was he was trying, what he had given me the last time, of which I could not remember but pieces of it. So Henry, are you please step forward? It is a great man who not only understands that he was a great man in the eyes of many, but it is a great man who will understand that he was not perhaps a great man in the eyes of all. I was earlier speaking to you and to your friends, to the others, about the fact that though I am lauded by those in the historical aspect, that I was indeed and have considered myself a failure upon the personal, for I was so imbued with the vision of forging a nation that I, in effect, refused, or perhaps not refused, but did not countenance the necessity to work in equal measure at forging my own children. As those who knew me and knew of me gathered around the funerary of my death, it came to me as a rude awakening, for I was aware of the feelings of those who approached, those who offered condolences to my family. But most of all, I was aware of the feelings of my family, and it was unfortunate for me to understand how I had been seen in great measure by those who were to have loved me the most dearly. I often was gone from the home for the vision I had of founding a nation, while part of it was to ensure that my prodigy lived in freedom, lived in the greatest nation upon the earth. I did not realize that I was costing myself in great measure by their respect. It is not a man who may gather freedom for the many if he cannot offer the love to his own. And I am afraid this is what I had done. I spoke often in the halls of freedom. I spoke often upon the street to many a man about those things which would make our nation great. And yet I was not often speaking to my own children, to my own family, for I felt that my assets, my need, was to be better utilized in the halls of freedom. However, upon my death and upon experiencing what I did, what I witnessed from within the bosoms of my own family, I understand now that had I fought as equally, fiercely, for the love of my children, that I would have forged within them greater amounts of freedom. Freedom from anger, freedom from lack of security within themselves. And so, in my state of life that is called death, I have seen that it is far wiser, and as actually it is of greatest necessity, that love must be hammered upon the anvil first and foremost, for there cannot be freedom if it does not come from the foundation of love. Even in the formation of a nation, it is imperative that love of God and love of humanity be the anvil upon which all measures toward freedom are hammered. I speak now from what I have learned, not only upon a personal level, but upon the level of which I spoke in my life, of knowledge that the freedoms that are inherently good for humanity, for mankind, are so necessary, but I was not at that time understanding that they must be based upon the anvil of love. It is the wisdom that has been given to me in my so-called death, and I say to those who now bustle about as I once, seeking riches, seeking glory, seeking fame, seeking something grand, that if you are not at first and foremost taking care of the measures of love within your own family, then you are but a charlatan. You are but one who cannot be called a great man. It is in this nation now that much of what is being forged does not at all come upon the anvil of love, but rather those greed of superiority, power, and I say that freedom will not exist, nor can freedom of conflict exist, unless it is first and foremost hammered upon the anvil of love and tempered in the waters of control. It was interesting for me, for I had considered myself a great man. I had considered myself a man who was doing all that he could to ensure a better future for posterity. I was considered by many to be a great man. I understand. However, upon my own death, it was astounding to understand that those closest to me did not share the same conviction, that there was anger, there was disappointment, there was sorrow, it is true, but it was not the sorrow I would have so deliciously enjoyed. It was not sorrow that a great father had left. It was sorrow that I had gone on, and they never knew me as I truly was. I had not given them the opportunity to grow accustomed to. I left most of what should have been my duty to others, and for this I was greeted with sadness from my own heart upon reading the mind and the emotions of those whom I had considered loving, and yet I was too busy to love in action. I speak forward now through this one, not so that I might make amends solely for my own short failing, but as well to imbue those still living with an understanding that your bids for freedom are not being created and tempered in the strongest modes possible, and it is that many of you are making mistakes of Henry Clay, and you are allocating your time and your resources to that which will not matter when you are no longer living. Do not forsake the children, do not forsake those who are dependent upon you for the love, for riches and fame do not carry weight in these rooms that I now walk, and they will not carry weight for you either. What carries best in your pocket are the coins of love. And so as you are striking the hammer upon your anvil of life, remember that the greatest currency is that of love and fulfillment of other. And so speak not ill of the man who was a Clay, but do not at all find yourself burdened with the sorrows of the man known as Clay. And so I now, and for the many who will still come, you the remembrance of me as the one who look upon as one who not only spoke of freedom in life, but spoke of that which the foundation of love in his life that continued. There is no end, and so therefore all that you forge is laid upon you as you walk from one room to another room in the mansion of the Almighty.